I don't even know how this works. Do I have 2 people in here? I don't even know. I don't even know right now. If you are in here, can you say something in the chat? I think that the chat shows up over here. I'm just gonna do top chat. I'm just gonna do live chat. All messages are visible. All right. Oh, shoot. I just clicked off of something. Oh, man. All right. I'm gonna jump over and see if this is working over on the Patreon. I think it is. I wanted to do this like a minute before 8:30, so if we had more than 2 people jump on here, that, I wouldn't look like a complete and utter buffoon. Ah! That's disturbing. That's a little upsetting to see myself. Okay, there we go. Oh, hey, Naomi. Good to see you. Well, I should say good to see your chat. I think that it might just be you and I tonight. I'm very curious because, between you and I, this is a giant test. I have no idea if this is something that anybody even has a desire for, but I thought I'd throw it out there because again, it was probably 3 months ago, I put out a questionnaire that said, "Hey, what would you like to see outside of Backside of Water from us?" And I thought that there was going to be 17 things above this. Oh, I'm getting a Patreon notification. Hold on, is it? Oh, hey, Michael. Um, I thought that they were going to be, a Marvel podcast, a Star Wars podcast, so on and so forth. But the number one entry in the entire thing, whether it was on Instagram or over on the Facebook, the number one thing was Disney News. So I was like, well, let's try this out. Let's see if this works. And if it does, great. If it doesn't, well, at least we tried. You've been here for like an hour queued up and no one has been here. Yeah. So I think it's going to be real slow going to say the least. But what I think I might do is record this live and put it out as maybe a podcast episode too for those who can't actually listen to it live and want to listen to it later on. So I don't know. Maybe people don't even have any desire for this, but at least it's going to be here. Yeah, because for those of you who are not key holders, Naomi, you bring up a very good point that and there's some cool key pass holder stuff that I want to talk about today, because it just got announced like 2 or 3 days ago, and I think that it's very exciting news. So, Michael, I don't know if you heard me earlier, but hello. Oh, Quinn, you had to. Oh, yes. I hope you're glad you're here. Um, this is the first time we've done this, Quinn. So I'm not gonna lie. I've never really talked in front of people like this. This is a little bit uncomfortable for me. So if I'm being completely honest, I am very much out of my element. Very much out of my element. Um, but let's see here. Maybe I'm going to go ahead and get this started. I'm going to get this started. We're going to do like a little bit of an official thing as far as an introductory message goes. And then that's just so when I record this as a podcast, well, that is true, Naomi. You were at the live show, but that's different. That's like human interaction, whereas this is not something that I'm used to, just sitting in front of a computer screen. But I should say that's a total lie too, because with my work, every single week I host Zoom classes that I teach, and so I'm like this all the time. But I'm not talking about Disney. There's just something that's making me feel nervous. All right, that's that. I can't really put my finger on it, but there's just something that's making me feel uneasy. And I'm just going to get used to it. I'm going to have to get used to it. So I'm going to actually, yeah, record this on my recording software and let's get started. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the very first live stream of the Main Street Monthly. This is something that I have been very excited and eager for because, well, I mean, to be completely honest, I never really talk about Disney news with people except for those on the show with me. People like Freddie Martin and Annie Rugit and Mike Mulligan. So I'm glad to be able to live stream this with friends, and we've got a few people in the chat. It's good to see you guys. So for those of you who are listening after the fact in the podcast version of this, it might be a little bit strange for you because it's not going to be as polished and scripted as a Backside of Water episode. And believe it or not, yes, the Backside of Water is scripted. That's spoiler number one from the Main Street Monthly news stream. And I was actually just talking to my wife about that because we started writing the show that way as a script form, because back when Harrison and I first started the show nearly 7 years ago, which is unbelievable. So almost 7 years ago, we started the Backside of Water, and both of us were so terrible at podcasting. We had no idea how to do anything when it comes to podcasting. When we got in front of mics, we basically froze. So we were like, okay, we've got to write a script so we can stay on topic and know exactly what to say. So that's the reason why the Backside of Water started as a scripted show. If we could go unscripted and just go off the cuff and have a great conversation, oh, we would have loved that, because another little backstage view here is, and I don't know, maybe you guys aren't even interested in nuts and bolts, but I'm going to share it anyway here. To put it into perspective, there's a lot of people who have questions about how long it takes for us to put together an episode, because they're like, why do you guys only release once a month and sometimes not even once a month? What if it's like every other month or something like that? What gives? Everybody else is putting out once a week. Well, realistically, I start when it comes to putting the show together, I roughly spend 8 hours researching a topic. And then I would say I probably spend another 4 to 6 hours writing the script. And then we spend about 2 hours recording the episode. And then, depending upon the level of production that we have in that episode, I'll spend anywhere between 2 and 5 hours uh, actually producing and mixing each episode. And that equals out to a lot of hours. There's a lot of people who will just sit and talk on a microphone and then hit send, and it will go out into the sphere. And that's the great thing about podcasting, is the immediacy. But for us, we are slow going because we are very intentional. And Freddie and I actually talked about that. I don't know if you guys who are in here actually saw this, but we just released our Finding Nemo Submarines episode like 3 hours ago. If you have not had a chance to listen to it yet, I highly recommend that you go over and check it out, because it is, I think it's 59 minutes long, and it's basically 59 minutes of Freddie and I just spouting facts and history about the sub. There really isn't a lot of filler in that episode at all. So it is extremely dense. And to put it into perspective, the script on that guy was 37 pages long. So it's a little bit mind-boggling, the effort that we put in to the writing side of things. Um, Naomi, thank you. She says, I've been listening for about 4 years now, but I love the scripted format. It's unlike any other Disney podcast I listen to. I love the radio show feel. And that is actually the goal. The goal is for us to create something that is unlike any other Disney experience or podcast experience that y'all have gotten. So I'm glad that you feel that way, because to us, that says mission accomplished. Now, with this show, as Naomi said over here in the comments, that it is just a chat amongst pals. And Michael chimed in and says that we need to pretend, or I need to pretend, that y'all are students, because I am a teacher when I'm not doing this. And that's exactly what I'll be doing, because yes, there will be an exam at the end of this podcast. So be sure that you're taking notes. It will be open note, so don't worry. I'm not going to make you remember all of the information. Just make sure that you're taking good, clear notes. So with that, let's go ahead and jump in and kind of talk about the biggest topics that have basically been uncovered in the month of January. Now, the first one that I want to talk about is D23. D23 prices and dates, everything was announced this month, and tickets went on sale. And this is the first year that Alex Stewart and crew are going to D23 together. We have officially decided on our date. So it's going to be myself, it's going to be Freddie Martin, it's going to be Annie Rugit, and it's going to be good old Mike Mulligan. We are all going to be going together to D23. We debated on going to D23 all 3 days, or if we should just do one. And the massive influx of people buying tickets basically chose for us that we are only going to do one day. So we will be there Friday, September 9th is the day that we are going to be attending D23. But we are in the process. We are in the process. And for those of you who are here live right now, you get the first scoop with this. We are in the process of planning a live show, and we are probably going to be doing it during the weekend of D23. Um, so with that, keep an eye out, because as we say on the Patreon here, you guys are privy to the first option of getting tickets for live events, and a live event will be coming in September. Um, and that kind of ties into something that I'll be talking about a little bit later on the show. But one of the questions that was asked, are there any panels that we're stoked about? Now, we had the choice of either going on Friday or on Sunday, and some of the panels were actually the reason why I decided to have us go on Friday instead of Sunday. There is a panel on Friday morning, one of the first panels uh, at D23 is a conversation about the man Walt Disney. And that is absolutely something that I want to be in on. But I will say this, there was something that was a little bit stressful about this choice, because on Sunday, there was also the parks announcements panel. So that's when they are going to be doing all the announcements for all the new stuff in the parks, which I'm really, really excited to see. But I think that thing is going to be beyond packed. So I don't think that it's going to be a very easy panel to get into. And I also think that it's going to I don't know if there's gonna be a lot of stuff focusing on Disney, because I don't know, and this is maybe this obviously wasn't something that was announced during this month, but I will backtrack and say, I don't know if anybody saw this. It does pertain to the backside of water, that Toontown is getting a complete and utter overhaul from front to back. And they released, I think it was in December, they released this information. And it looks really, really cool. Now, one thing that I want to do is, we have in the past had the opportunity to interview the former vice president of Imagineering, Joe Lanzicero. And Joe and I, over the last few months, have stayed in touch, and we've actually kindled a bit of a friendship. And so we chat off and on, and I would love to be able to have Joe back on the show once this new Toontown starts rolling, because Toontown was actually Joe's brainchild, essentially. He was the one who took what Michael Eisner wanted to do with Toontown and brought it to life. So if you are looking for any sort of person who is the leading authority on Toontown, it's Joe Lanzicero. So that was announced, and I think that that's one of the biggest Disneyland announcements that we're going to get from D23. One thing that I'm also hoping for is maybe an update on some of the new rides that we're going to be, I should say, some of the ride updates. I'm skeptical that we're going to hear anything about Splash Mountain. I think because of the pandemic, that has been pushed to the back burner. So for those of you who are like Splash Mountain purists, you probably will have Splash Mountain in its normal iteration for probably quite a while longer. And for those of you who are looking for the refurb, unfortunately, it's probably going to be a while. Um, I agree. Quinn says that the facade of the El Capitan Theater for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway looks fire. The El Capitan, I love it. I love it. And I cannot wait to ride that. I haven't gotten a chance to go down to Orlando since the new opening of the Runaway Railway down there, but I've watched multiple videos of it. And yes, I'm this big of a nerd. I've actually watched 360 videos on it. So somebody takes a 360 camera on the ride and you put a VR headset on and you watch it. I don't know if I should be proud of that I've done that, or if I should try to erase what I've just told you guys, because I wanted to get as realistic or as immersive of a viewing experience of that attraction as possible. And let me say, from a VR perspective, it's awesome. So I can only imagine what it's going to look like when we're actually seeing it in person here in Toontown. So I am very, very excited for that. So I would imagine that that parks panel on Sunday is going to cover that. One of the things that I'm also really excited about for D23 is not just panels, but primarily we're going to see a lot of exhibits. There's a lot that's going to be on display from Imagineering. There are some very special releases from the Disney archives that I think are going to be extremely cool. I think those are going to be amazing. I also think that we are going to get quite a bit when it comes to Disney merch. So, to me, this being the first time that I've ever been to D23, I'm just hoping to be able to get there and not have my eyeballs melt out of my face. So that's my number one goal. Another thing that I want to do is walk around on the showroom floor and see some friends, because I know that there are quite a number of people that I've met through the podcasting community that are going. Lynn and Kin from our buddies over at, they will have a booth there. I think they've had a booth there for the past few years, but they will have a booth there. And I believe that they are selling their book, Cleaning the Kingdom. They've got 2 volumes of it out. So if you are a fan of Ken and Lynn, then jump over there and they will be able to sign some autographs and you'll be able to chat with them personally. So with the highlights of D23, um, those would be the ones that I say are the highest. I don't into the park also, because that's going to be busy. That's going to be very, very busy. But I am highly looking forward to D23, and I'm sure on these news streams we are going to over the next few months start to get a lot more information as far as updates and maybe some new stuff that's actually going to be shown at D23. Now, another thing that I want us to talk about very quickly, this is just some personal podcast news. First and foremost, on a whim, I've wanted to do a charity fundraiser for the past couple of years, but it's just gotten so insanely busy that it's fallen by the wayside. But this year I was like, we got to just do this. We got to jump in and we got to do this. So we started a fundraiser for Make-A-Wish. Make-A-Wish is a great organization that helps kids get their wishes granted that are terminally ill. I can't think of a better organization to support than somebody who is making terminally ill kids' dreams come true. And a lot of those wishes actually take place at Disney parks. So I figured that that is a perfect combination, a perfect pairing, is us and Make-A-Wish. So a little update on that. We've set our first goal at $500 because I was like, I don't know what this is going to look like. And we actually had one of our Patreon members. I don't want to name names because I don't know if this person is wanting their name to be said, but we had one of our Patreon members actually donate $500 within the first 24 hours, which was incredible. That was truly a dream come true. Because what we promised was that we would be giving our month's earnings from Patreon directly to Make-A-Wish. So to have other people be giving gifts like this has been absolutely stellar. So where we're at right now, of our $500 goal, we've actually reached $975, or actually $925, excuse me, $925. So by the end of the month, I'm really hoping that we can raise 75 more dollars to get to $1,000 raised for Make-A-Wish. So if you have a couple of extra bucks that you want to throw towards it, jump onto our Instagram, and we've got the link to our Make-A-Wish in our bio over there. Or we've also got a post here on our Patreon that links you over to that fundraiser. So whether it's $2, whether it's $10, I don't even know how low it goes. If it's 50 cents, whatever you can donate, whatever you are comfortable with, whatever you are able to, we would love that. But realistically, in the long run, your money has already gone to Make-A-Wish since you are supporting the Patreon. So thank you for that, because in the most direct way possible, you have already donated to this fundraiser. So couldn't be more pleased with that. Absolute success all around. So thank you, Patreon members, for your support with that. So that's our biggest update with it. It does close at the end of January. So if you want to add just a few more bucks, that would be great. Make sure you get it in there before the end of the month. Smugglers Dispatch. Holy mackerel. I cannot talk about this podcast enough. You see, I've got my R2-D2 if you're watching live here. I got my R2, and then there's actually I put a lightsaber from Savi's workshop on my table back there. And then I'm also wearing my Star Wars sweatshirt today because I cannot get enough of the Smugglers Dispatch podcast. What is the Smugglers Dispatch podcast? Well, if you've seen anything on Patreon, if you've seen anything on the Instagram or Facebook within the last 2 weeks, you will absolutely know what Smugglers Dispatch is, because I cannot stop talking about it. My good friend Michael Howarth approached me a few weeks ago and said, hey, maybe we should podcast all the time together, because I've had him on Did You Know Disney episodes. You guys may know Michael from our Star Wars episodes. We talk about the Clone Wars together, and then we just released the George Lucas episodes, or I should say the first of a few episodes. But he and I have branched off, and if you are a fan of the backside of water, I think that I think it's absolutely worth giving Smuggler's Dispatch a try. Even if you're not a huge Star Wars fan, I like to think that this is a podcast for non-Star Wars fans and Star Wars fans alike, because it's designed really to give you a good entry point into the world of Star Wars. Now, one of the things that we also do is there is not a project as far as audibly goes that I can touch that does not turn into some form of audio drama. And so we've actually created this world. And I'm only going to tell you guys on the Patreon here, because one, that's the perk of having the Patreon, is there is this little backstage feel. But two, I'm too excited not to share this with somebody. But we have created this world inside of the Star Wars universe, where and we even talk about this in the teaser. It's called the Order of the Kessel Runners. And essentially what we asked ourselves, and this is going to go deep Star Wars nerd, so I'm not going to talk about it too much so I don't lose those non-Star Wars fans out there. But we essentially asked ourselves, in the beginnings of the communication in the galaxy, how did planets communicate with one another before there was an intergalactic communication form? And that's really where we started with this backstory. And it exploded into something that is so vast and so huge that we are going to be releasing some episodes that are purely radio drama that are going to be sharing the story of the High Order of the Kessel Runners. And this is something that Michael and I are very excited about. And holy mackerel, is this thing going to be dense, intense, and it's actually going to dwarf any of the radio dramas that we've done on the backside of water. So if you're a fan of Star Wars or a fan of radio drama, get ready for this Order of the Kessel Runners series. And we've actually talked about releasing it on Patreon to Patreon members first and foremost. So you guys will probably get the first taste of the Kessel Runners. So tune in to the Smuggler's Dispatch because I'm very, very excited about it. Now we've got some Disneyland news. We are currently in the Lunar New Year celebration over at Disney's California Adventure. So it's not Disneyland news, but we have some Disney parks news, I should say, or West Coast news. And the thing that I'm very excited about with all of these different celebrations is the food. And Naomi's probably like, oh, finally a treat talk. Yes, it's a treat talk because the Lunar New Year means that we have the opportunity to taste a bunch of new food. So if I'm looking at the list here, there's a lot of savories going on this year. A lot of savories going on. Sweets, not as much, but we do have some savories. There's a couple of things that I'm really excited for. So they've got a few different food options out there. One of them is at the Longevity Noodle Company, and this is going to go all the way through February 13th. I'm bummed because we are going to be going to the parks on February 23rd. So we are going to be missing all of the food from the Lunar New Year. But I can sit here and drool. One of the things that I love is the idea of garlic noodles. That is my jam. That sounds amazing. It's long noodles tossed into zesty garlic butter with Parmesan cheese. Yes, that's that's right up my alley. Now, one of the things that I also saw in here that kind of gets me going is this salted pistachio cold brew. A salted pistachio cold brew, which I'll say this that if I drink caffeine, I tend to start to feel like the world is imploding in on itself and everything is going to turn to ash and dust because caffeine affects me in terrible, terrible ways. Um, but my wife does fine with it, and I'll be able to take a little sip. Well, I guess I would have been able to take a sip, but it's over before we get there, which I'm bummed about. But I love the idea of mixing this savory salted pistachio with coffee. So I think that's going to be a really interesting pairing. Now, over at the Lucky Eight Lantern, I think that to me, the drinks look a lot more interesting than the food. You've got the shrimp fried rice with garlic bacon edamame, which holy cow, through the roof, awesome. But the thing that I look at is these drinks that they have. Now, I am going to totally butcher these names, so I deeply apologize for this. But the first one on the list is called the Peach Yuja Ade, Yuja Aid. Maybe Yuja Aid like a lemonade because there's lemon in it. So we'll call it the Peach Yuja Aid. So it's got peach syrup, Yuja. I don't even know what Yuja is, but just the name sounds intriguing. Dragon fruit, which I've seen a dragon fruit and it's a cool color, so it probably tastes delicious. There's a lot of people who love those acai bowls, and I feel like there's a lot of dragon fruit in acai bowls. It's got some lemon and butterfly pea flower tea. I don't even know what a butterfly pea flower is, but it sounds like a vocal warm up because if you have to say butterfly pea flower 6 times fast, I think that it actually sets your tongue ablaze. So if you are in the parks and you get a peach Yuja aid, please shoot me a message over on Instagram and let me know what that flavor's like because that sounds amazing. Now, they also will put the old lotus flower glow cube in there, which is something that we see a lot of times over at old Trader Sam's. And if you get a chance to get these, especially if you got kids, oh, do they love them. It makes dinner time so much fun when you put that in their drink and whatever they're drinking that night, it lights up. One of the things that I'm also excited about here with the Prosperity Bow and Buns is this Mickey Chinese hot dog bun. So it's a brioche style Mickey shaped bun filled with hot dog and finished with sesame seeds and scallions. I'm fascinated by this because it sounds like a children's treat, but I any Disney dogs of any sort, be it corn dog, be it hot dog, be it Pluto or Goofy. I love them all. So I cannot wait to try this. when the Lunar New Year comes around. So, as far as treats go, there's a mango pineapple pie that I think sounds pretty good. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that one seems a little bit uneventful. Obviously, the majority of treats at Disney are delicious, but when it comes to just a mango pineapple pie, I feel like they may have been able to do a little bit more exciting. I'm assuming that mango and pineapple probably have some sort of cultural significance or significance to the holiday or the festival itself that I don't know about. But I was excited to see maybe a little bit more than just a mango pineapple filled pie. Um, for those of you who get a little bit worried about what your food looks like, there is a whole fried fish that you're going to want to avoid. I would say that if you can don't get it because it literally just looks like a fish. Looks like a fish, head and all, right there on your plate. So, I would watch out for that. But what I would go directly for is the green tea raspberry parfait. Holy cow. Green tea mousse, raspberry jelly, white sponge cake, white chocolate mousse, and candy pearls. That is a big old fat yes from this guy. So if you get a chance to get to the park, please do me a favor and for me, take one for the team and get the green tea raspberry parfait and let me know. Let me live vicariously through you. That is my desire right now. So, if you want to, one last thing that I got to throw out there because this looks too good to not talk about it. You guys know that I'm a fan of churros, right? Well, the answer is yes. You know that I'm a fan of churros. And they actually have something that is equally as good to churros in my world, which is donuts. And donuts, I would say, are my favorite treat of all time. And they actually have an oolong dusted beignet donut. Oh my word. Beignets and donuts together. I think that that should be illegal because that just instantly causes the diabetes just when you listen to it. So, oolong dusted beignet donut. Make sure you're getting that because it's got this oolong creme anglais. I don't even know what that is, but it's got an orange soy pudding dipping sauce, which I can take or leave. But the fact that this is a beignet donut, I'm all about that. Now, one thing that I'm really actually surprised by is I am not seeing anything here that talks about a seasonal churro. Speaking of my love of churros, traditionally we get some sort of churro type item, but on the list that I'm seeing here on the Disney Parks blog, as far as what the food goes, I'm not seeing anything. So maybe this isn't a complete list. So if you see a churro out there in the park, be sure to message me and let me know because I would love to have some sort of oh Naomi says that I think it's a lemon curd right now. Is that in honor of this Lunar New Year? Are they doing the lemon curd churro? Oh, but it's not for Lunar New Year. Oh my gosh, Naomi, you already just read my mind. Um, I don't know. I'm going to throw this out there. Lemon and curd does not sound like it goes well with the word churro. I'm willing to be swayed. I'm willing to grow and to change. So maybe I'll put that in my face next time I'm in the park and let you know what my thoughts are. I think that I've talked plenty about food at this point because if I talk any longer, I'm going to have to go and have fourth breakfast. I'm going to make a hobbit look like a lightweight at this point. Next thing on our list is this Club 33 news. Well, I should say it's Magic Key news that they are touting as Club 33 related. Now, I don't know if anybody out there listening has heard this or seen this on any of the blogs, but this is actually fairly new news within the last couple of days. That it's very clickbaity in a lot of ways when you look at the article. So for those fellow Magic Key Pass holders out there, I am a Magic Key Pass holder, and I absolutely love my Magic Key. I wish that I got a physical card with it. That would be really cool. I wish they gave me an actual key, that I could use to unlock the gates every single morning and just say, "Hey, boys, I'm here." But that's just something that happens in my dreams. I mean, like, literally, I dream about that. Not like, "Oh, that's like a daydream that I know." I actually dream about that at night, is having the keys to the kingdom. I digress. But what I've seen is there was an area over in Disney's California Adventure that was right across from Cars Land. And this area, used to be a place that was actually originally owned by the Robert Mondavi Wine Company. I don't know whether vineyards, winery, whatever it may be called. But over the last, gosh, 15 years, there was a downturn in the market for the Mondavi guys. And apparently, they only started, instead of being the owners of that restaurant, they just partnered with Disney. Disney owned the restaurant. But above there has been a Magic Key Terrace for well, it's been an annual pass holders terrace for a couple of years, and unfortunately we've always been so busy whenever we're there that I haven't gotten a chance to go check it out. um but I've heard good things about it. But what they are now doing, and I'm very curious to see what this is going to turn out as, is they're saying that they're giving this area a facelift, and it is exclusively for Magic Key Pass holders and their families to be able to get in. And it's a place to kind of find a rest away from the busy park world. From my understanding, it's not actually indoors still. It's actually just a patio of sorts. So to advertise this as a Club 33 is very, very very generous, to say the least. But I'll say this: I think that it's great for marketing. I think that an extra little add-on for Magic Key Pass holders. This will be this will be interesting. Naomi says that they are recycling the alfresco tasting terrace for it. They had it for pass holders previously as well, but we are just redecorating. Exactly. So it's a redecoration. It's supposed to be a little bit more upscale. Naomi's curiosity is that they are expanding the seating, question mark, because I'm pretty sure 1901 is up there as well. I don't, from my understanding, I don't think that they're doing an expanded seating area. What is it? Club 1901 up there is the California Adventure version of Club 33, though there really is no equal to the original Disneyland Club 33. It's the variation of Club 33. Um, so I think what they're probably going to do is have a bunch of people that are Magic Key holders sitting out there on the patio, just staring longingly into the 1901 areas and just saying, maybe one day we'll be able to get in there. But for now, this is what we've got. So in the end, I think it's fun. I think that it's interesting. When we're out there, I will be checking it out. I'll get some video for people while we're in the Magic Key area. I doubt that they're going to make it as exclusive as Club 33, that they don't let us do video in Club 33 and stuff like that. And they're like, be very careful with pictures. Do not send pictures out of the bathroom. Yet there's pictures all over the place of Club 33 online. So hopefully they're not going to confiscate my phone at the front of the Magic Key area in California Adventure, so I can give you guys the inside scoop on what that area looks like. Now, those are the biggest pieces of news. This month has been a little bit quiet. We are seeing more of the use around the Genie Plus and the Lightning Lane use. Now, I don't want. This is the hard thing. I when it comes to news, um, when it comes to news, it's a little bit complex because a lot of things require a little bit of time before we can truly make a judgment call on them when it comes to Disney parks. And I'm not a news breaker here. We are kind of a news chat group where we talk about all of the new things that are going on in the park. And one of the things that's going on right now is this switch over from FastPass to Genie Plus. Now, FastPass, we all know FastPass. We all either love or hate FastPass. There are people on both sides of the camp, and I think there's valid arguments on both sides of the camp of FastPass. Are they good? Are they hindrances? What works? What doesn't? Well, uh, the CEO, good old Bob Chapek, um, which Bob Chapek. Bob Chapek has implemented the Genie Plus program, which is basically you pay for the ability to use a fast pass type system, which is called the Lightning Lane. Now, there are a few caveats with this Lightning Lane and Genie Plus. One of them is it's only for select attractions. They have also throttled it in certain ways, meaning that if you want to do something like, let's say, Rise of the Resistance, if you want to ride Ride of the Resistance, that's not included in the good old fashioned Genie Plus that you pay for. You have to pay an extra fee to get into a faster lane on Rise of the Resistance. Now, I will say, if you are I'm going to the Disney parks once every 7 years kind of person, do I think that signing up for Genie Plus, using the lightning lanes and using the additional like Rise of the Resistance lightning lanes and paying an extra fee is worth it? 100%. I think it's 100% worth it, because the way that I look at it, and maybe this is really bad financial advice, but if I look at it and say, okay, I'm there once every 7 years. If it's $20 for me to get Genie Plus per day and I get 7 more rides than I usually would, heck yeah, I'm going to do that. And also, if it comes down to it, that if I pay 15 extra dollars to get on Rise of the Resistance, am I going to do that? Heck yeah, I'm going to do that, because I'm not going to be back here in 7 more years. Now, I will say this. I am the party until you fall over kind of human being. So I want to experience all of it. I want to experience everything. So with that, I think that it's absolutely worth it. Now, if you are a Magic Key holder, if you're somebody who goes twice a year, if you're somebody who goes once a year, if you're somebody who goes every other year, is Genie Plus worth it? Maybe. A big maybe is what I'll say on that. I think it depends on a lot of circumstances. If you have if you have young kids, I think that can be a great incentive. I actually have a couple of friends who are in the park texting me today as we speak about their experience with Genie Plus, and some of their experiences have been very positive. They've said that they're really glad that they've done it. They would only do it on a select few days. That's the nice thing, is you don't have to pay for it the entire time. You can add it per day. Now, Quinn says that he's debating on trying when we're able to travel again. Haven't been in a couple years. Rise wasn't open when I was in California last time, and unfortunately, they were a few months early. So, Quinn, in your situation, because are you up in Canada, Quinn? I believe you are a Canadian friend, which is awesome. So thank you for being up in Canada and supporting us, even though you're thousands of miles away. But you got to get your Disney fix, bro. But in your situation, if it's every few years, I think it's worth it. I think it's worth grabbing at least for something like Rise of the Resistance. Now, I'm going to get maybe a lot of hate for the 7 people who listen to this, but I think that Web Slingers over in California Adventure at the Avengers campus is pretty good. It's pretty good. Is it worth an hour and a half wait? No. Is it worth an hour wait? Probably not. Is it worth 30 minutes? 100%. But that hour is pushing it. If you're a Marvel nut, if you just love Marvel, then heck yeah, that hour line is absolutely worth it. But if you're not a big Marvel fan, go ride Toy Story Mania, and you're going to get a very similar experience. So if you're not a fan of the 3D type wear glasses and ride a ride sort of rider, that is something that's going to dissuade you from this. Quinn also says, huge Spider-Man guy, Marvel, and so stoked about Avengers Campus, but I haven't seen all that great of reviews. Now, Quinn, I think that you bring up some good points. As a Star Wars, excuse me, as a Star Wars, sorry. I've got something on my mind clearly. As a Spider-Man fan, as a Spider-Man fan, I think that you would love Web Slingers. There's a lot of great nods to it, to the franchise, I should say, in general. I think Avengers Campus gets a bad rap. And here's what I'll say. As somebody who is a traditional Disneyland purist, I'm not the same way with California Adventure. I say, go do your thing, California Adventure. Spread your wings and fly and experiment and try to find some sort of identity because you're in a bit of a crisis and you've been in a bit of an identity crisis as a park since about 2004. Um, and with that, as much hate as the Avengers Campus gets, I think it's a very welcome addition. Is Mission Breakout a good thematic fit outside of it being part of the Marvel franchise? No, because it takes place on a different planet than the rest of Marvel's Avengers Campus. So I think from a storytelling perspective, that's weird. I also think that Marvel's Avengers Campus is extremely barren right now as far as options go. They have a lot of merchandise. They have the PIM test kitchen, which, oh my word, as somebody who would gain 5,000 pounds if I just let myself run wild at a Disney park, PIM test kitchen is fantastic. PIM test kitchen, I will say, is the best restaurant in California Adventure. It has so many, and maybe not because the cuisine is absolutely spectacular, but it's really good food. But because it's unique, it's very unique. I mean, the fact that they do extra large food and extra tiny food, that's fun. That's fun. And when you walk in and see the ambiance, I think it's really, really exciting. I think it's fresh, it's new, and it's enjoyable. I am a reforming Marvel fan, meaning that I used to be over Marvel. I used to think that Marvel was overdone. And then last year I was like, give it a chance, Al. So I watched through the entirety of the Marvel franchise again and I fell in love with it. I love Marvel now. I really enjoy Marvel. I think that I mean, is my love the same level for something like Star Wars? Heck no. But I like Marvel a lot. Uh Michael says maybe Tony Stark could shell out for a few more shade trees. I love that comment because yeah, it is definitely lacking when it comes to any sort of growth. But here's the thing that we have to remember is believe it or not, if we replaced the words or the name Tony Stark with Walt Disney, that would have been Disneyland in 1955 because when the park first opened, there was nothing but baby trees everywhere. The only place where they kept any sort of good trees were over in the Adventureland Jungle Cruise area, and the majority of them were flipped upside down to expose the roots to make it look more like a jungle. So that was one of the biggest complaints is there was a complete and utter lack of shade over at Disneyland. So I love that comment because so true about Avengers Campus, but also very ironic that Avengers Campus is suffering from the same plight as early and young Disneyland. Now, is Avengers Campus as good as Disneyland? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. But I do think this might get a lot of hate. Is it better than a Bugs Land? I really think so. I really do. Um, I think with some explanation. I think it's better overall. I think the theming's really good. I think A Bug's Land really only appealed to very small children. The Heimlich ride was hilarious, not because it was good, but because it was so bad. That's what we loved about the Heimlich ride. Is you're riding through something. Heimlich and I do have a lot in common because Heimlich just loves his food. So Heimlich, I can respect him for that, but the rest of the attractions in that area were for very young kids. So arguably, there is only one place for very young kids now over in California Adventure, which is the what is it? The Redwood Challenge Trail, which is a 10 out of 10. Oh my word, one of the most underrated parts of any Disney park is that Redwood Challenge Trail. It is so much fun. And if you've got kids who've got energy, go over there and let them get their runs out because, well, that sounded weird. Get their energy out in the challenge trail because it's a blast. Um, Let's see here. Quinn says that I remember so much from my childhood at it at a Bug's Land, but it was time to switch it up and go with what's popular. Now, Quinn also says that Tower of Terror is better than Mission Breakout 100%. I will say this, Quinn. Here's my thought on this. Um, I think the Tower of Terror is one of the greatest Disney attractions ever made. I think that it has one of the greatest stories ever told in a Disney ride. I absolutely have a very deep place in my heart for the Twilight Zone. I adore the Twilight Zone. Rod Serling was a genius that is that's completely underrated, especially, well, I should say, for those who are in like Hollywood writing, they hold Rod Serling to a very high standard because he was so influential. But I will say this: the Tower of Terror in Disney's California Adventure is a mere shadow of the glory of the Orlando Tower of Terror. The Tower of Terror in Orlando is just absolute tip of the top, cream of the crop. Um, if you haven't gotten a chance to ride it, Quinn, if you guys ever get to Orlando, Florida, I would highly recommend that you go to Hollywood Studios primarily for the Tower of Terror. Obviously, they've got Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land there now because that park suffered down there. Again, we're looking at identity crisis at Hollywood Studios as well. But Florida is significantly better than the than the California variant. Now, I will say this: I love Mission Breakout. I love Mission Breakout. It is a phenomenally fun attraction, and I was very skeptical when I walked into it first. I was like, "Oh, here we go. Let's see what this cash grab is like." And it is phenomenal. So for anybody out there, if you've been skeptical or haven't gotten a chance to ride Mission Breakout, woof, take it from me. It's a fun ride. And if you hate it, I was wrong. I was wrong. It was terrible. You should never have ridden it. No, I'm kidding. It's awesome. It is so much fun. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry you didn't like it. Then you waited an hour and a half because I recommended it. But at least you gave it the old college try. Naomi says, have you done the Monsters After Dark overlay during Halloween? No, I have not. Naomi, I have not. I will say that I I think that it sounds interesting. I don't like if there's any sort of spookies with it. I don't like the spookies. I don't like Not Scary Farm. I can't do that. I can't do the Not Scary. I can't do a haunted corn maze even. Shoot, I can't even walk up the stairs at night with the lights off because I'm such a wimp. So if the Monsters After Dark overlay during Halloween is not scary, then I'm all aboard for it. But Michael brings up a really good point that Mission Breakout is more thrilling than scary now. And that's what I think is fun, is because with the soundtrack, like Quinn talked about earlier, the soundtrack on Mission Breakout, oof, that's what makes it so awesome. It is a blast to ride because you are blazing up and down that thing to an amazing soundtrack, which the Guardians of the Galaxy series has a phenomenal soundtrack, and you get that on the ride too. But that is a very, very good point, Michael, that it is a lot less scary now and just more of a thrill ride. So give it a try. Give it a try. If you don't like droppy drops, then you're probably not going to like it. But if you can handle a few droppy drops, then I would say go for it. Now, Naomi warns that the Monsters After Dark is a little scary, but the song is fun. Okay, I can do that. I can deal with that. I mean, the music video for Thriller's a little scary, but the song is fun, so I can get through it. Um, but the thing that's really cool is with Mission Breakout, you always get a new experience. So every single time you ride, you get something new, which is totally worth it. Um, what did we shoot? This is what happens when I don't have a script. This is where the huge digressions happen. This is supposed to be a news and views show, and you're getting mostly just the views of things like Genie Plus. That's what we were talking about, is Genie Plus. Is it worth it? The definitive answer is yes and no, depending on your circumstances. If you are going very rarely, pop for it. If you're there every other weekend, probably not worth it. I am going to get Genie Plus one day while we are out there in February, just so I can give a quick review on it, just so I can see firsthand what it's like, so I can share back with everybody and tell you guys if firsthand I think that it's worth it. So stay tuned for our February news roundup for that very information. Last thing that we want to talk about here, because we've already gone 55 minutes here on this show. Thanks for tuning in, those who are watching. This has been a ton of fun. One of the big things that I want to talk about is a partnership that we have had over the last year or so, or actually 2 years now. Um, we have been partnered with the Howard Johnson Anaheim, the Hojo Anaheim. Now, the reason why we decided to partner with the Hojo Anaheim is because of their love for the mid-century. They are obsessed with mid-century modern architecture, and the hotel itself and the hotel rooms all scream their love of mid-century modern architecture. Now, over the past year, we have been talking with the folks over there, and they revealed to us a suite that they have been building. Gosh, they talked about this almost a year ago. We've been discussing this, and maybe it was a little over a year ago. And I have been wanting to talk about this for now over a year, but because it's been under wraps, it's been hush hush. So now that it's been revealed over this past weekend, I can finally talk about the suite, which is known as the home. What is it? The home of the retro future. The House of the Retro Future is what I believe that it's called, because this room is lovingly designed and not a cash grab, not a cash grab. I've got to very much clearly say this. This is not a cash grab from the Hojo Anaheim, who are just capitalizing off of the popularity of the mid-century modern tiki kind of lifestyle. This is something that has been absolutely painstakingly and lovingly created. It is a suite in their hotel that is modeled off of the House of the Future. In fact, they even have pieces that they've purchased from the original House of the Future. The general manager of the hotel actually has gone through some painstaking efforts to get accurate furniture and have custom pieces made for this room. So this isn't just them going down to IKEA and being like, what can we find here that's really going to dupe people into wanting to get into this room? It is not that. It is absolutely not that. What we are looking at here is a phenomenal two-room suite that when you walk into the room, what's awesome is they've actually created a floor to ceiling window inside of this suite, and they've got this awesome rounded frame around the window that makes you legitimately feel like you were in one of the bubble shapes inside of the House of the Future in Disneyland. That's phenomenal. That is epic. That is amazing. They've actually partnered with the artist, the famous tiki artist Shag, and Shag has created a one-of-a-kind piece that hangs inside of this room that is inspired by this room, but also inspired by the House of the Future in Disneyland. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if you have no clue what the House of the Future is, do yourself a favor and go over and listen to part 4 of our Tomorrowland history series, and we talk all about the House of the Future. Now, one thing that I forgot, and this is so you guys are going to get a little backside of water backside here. One thing that I forgot to even plug into that episode because it was so massive. I wish that we could have an entire extra 6 hours of each podcast to add in the stuff that we weren't able to add in. But one of the things that we weren't able to add in about the House of the Future is when they demolished the House of the Future, because it was made of such pure, thick plastic, they actually could not demolish the house of the future. They tried to have a wrecking ball slam up next to it, and it literally bounced off the side of the house of the future. And that was something that I love, is the idea that the house of the future is unbreakable. That's amazing. That's just like the ultimate metaphor. The house of the future is unbreakable. I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt. Um, but this room will actually be available to people to stay in the summer of this year. So they are I believe that they're starting bookings right now. Now, here's what I'll say is, since we partner with them, if you are interested, if you're listening to this and you are interested in staying at the Howard Johnson, let me know. Shoot me a message over on Instagram or Facebook, or shoot me a message through Patreon, and I can connect you with a discount code so you can actually get discounted rooms. And it's actually a pretty darn good discount. I will also say this. Is this an ad for Howard Johnson? Essentially, yes. Not because they are paying me to do it, but because I love the Hojo Anaheim. One, because of its historical legacy, but also because they're great people. They are genuinely great people who run that hotel. And that is, you guys know the backside of water. We never ever have we never have any sponsors. We've been approached by a number of sponsors, and we've always decidedly said, no, we are not going to do sponsorships. Um, but this is more of a partnership, is the way that we look at it. And that's what I love about this partnership, is I can sing the praises of this place from the highest rooftops because I so utterly and completely love the Hojo Anaheim. The rooms are clean, the property is clean, and here's the best part: it is a 7-minute walk from the park. It is 7-minute walk from the park. You don't have to get through all the downtown Disney traffic. You go straight down Harbor and you are at the main gates. It is phenomenal for that reason alone. Now, keep in mind, with the Disneyland Hotel, you're about probably a 7 to 10 minute walk, but you are going to pay 3 to 4 times more to stay at the Disneyland Hotel in a room as nice as those that you're going to get at the Hojo Anaheim. Now, think about this dream, that you are able to stay in the house of the Retro Future Suite while going to Disneyland. Now, if that doesn't sound like a dream come true, I don't know what kind of dreams you have. Because to me, that is a waking dream right there. That is the waking dream. And it's my goal to one day be able to stay in this suite. I like to think that I'm going to do it as a tour, to be able to give a report back to all of you as to what it was like. But realistically, I just want to stay in the room. I'm very much looking forward to that, especially being able to go back to the House of the Retro Future after spending a night in Tomorrowland. Woo! I had to back away from from the microphone out of pure excitement for that thought. I cannot be more excited for this House of the Retro Future room. Um, Stay tuned, because we got some things cooking. We got some things cooking. And with that, that's where we're going to end this roundup this month, friends. This has been an absolute blast. For those who have been very active in the chat, thank you very much for being active in the chat. I don't want this just to be me talking myself and giving my own ideas for 60 minutes straight. Is that fun? No, not for anybody. But what makes it fun is that you engage. That's why I wanted to do this live, is because podcast is one direction. It's one way. What I love about doing a live stream like this is that we have the ability to have a conversation back and forth through the chat. So thank you, chatters, for being part of this. I Michael says, if the house of the future really was the house of the future, wouldn't we all be living in a big plastic house now? Michael, how do you know that we're not all living in a big plastic house, metaphorically? I left a lot of silence there to try to make that as impactful and not sound as stupid as it was. Um, But to be fair, I wish that I lived in actually, I don't wish that I lived in the house of the future as it was in Disneyland because it was, well, listen to our episode and you'll see that it didn't have the finest of amenities. It wasn't the most comfortable thing. It was you were always slipping off the plastic couch. Um, but with that, thank you. Thank you. I love that Naomi says, in all honesty, I do still talk to you all when I listen to the podcast. I love that kind of interaction. We feel that, Naomi. We feel that when you're talking to us through the podcast, it like echoes through the earth back to us. So thank you for speaking to your radio. Please keep doing that. We appreciate that. So listeners, whether you are on the stream, thank you very much. Again, thank you also for participating in the chat, because for those who participated in the chat, that was awesome. For those who just watched and didn't participate in the chat, thank you also for being here. Thank you for being here. Michael's telling me to stay on topic. I will try to stay on topic, Michael, but if there's a squirrel that runs by the window, you can guarantee I'm going to be talking about that guy. So thank you everybody who was here live. For those of you who are listening after the fact, if you enjoyed what you heard, jump on next time. Jump on next time when we've got our live stream, and we would love to hear from you. I'm going to see if I can find a way, if we can actually make it so I can have multiple people come on here and chat as well. Michael says that, oh, Michael says stay on topic. That's what he yells at the podcast itself. That is what we call a chasing after the wind, Michael, because we are not ever going to stay on topic. That's what you guys should know by now. But here's the nice thing is the ramblings help your craft activities that you are working on when it comes to your paper craft. So hopefully our long ramblings give you more content to consume while you are making papercraft Disney worlds of sorts. So until next time, the quiz that you are going to get here, according to Naomi, she said, hand on your tests. The test is going to be, I shoot. I've got to think of something very, very random that I'm going to quiz you guys on. And now you guys all have to, now everybody who listened to this, you're going to have to post your answer, but you guys can go back and listen to it. So that's not even fun. You guys have all passed the test already because you listened to this thing. You've already passed the metaphorical and mental challenge. So thank you. If I come up with any questions, I'll let you know over on the Patreon. Thanks for your support, everybody. Thank you so much for the community that you helped create. Notice I've got my Dave Marley backside of water sign up there for all to see. Thanks, Dave Marley, for that. Go check him out, Skipper Dave Marley. I believe it's Skipper Marley on Instagram. Buy all of his Jungle Cruise stuff. You won't be sad that you did. So with that, everybody, tune in next month when we do another roundup. And it may even be longer than this one because I'm going to Disney, and you can guarantee that, oh, we are going to be talking about that trip at length. So until next time, have a great rest of your month and enjoy all things Disney because it's a blast. We'll see you next time on Main Street Monthly, friends. Goodbye.